All right, so we're going to watch a video from Ashes of Creation, or about the game Ashes of Creation. I have not actually been paying attention to what's been going on with Ashes of Creation for probably the last 3 or 4 months. But apparently they've done, well, they have done an Alpha 2 Mage Archtype preview. For those of you that watch the stream or are watching this on YouTube, I am in the early alpha. So I did do the last alpha testing. I played it on stream. I will be in the next alpha testing, and I will play it extensively when it is launched. But so far, we don't really have, as far as I understand, we don't have any sort of date or whether or not it's going to be soon. But apparently, this really starts to show how combat is going to work, and this is in particular to the Mage Archtype as well. So let's, and that's, kind of a class that I'm interested in playing. So. Very interested to see what kind of developments they've made with this game over the last 4 months since I've really watched any videos on it.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another live stream in the world of Vera. I am joined today by 3 of our absolutely awesome developers. We have with us 2 regulars and 1 new face. One of our engineers, obviously.
And those graphics really are nice, aren't they?
Good. Thanks for asking.
Welcome, sir. Welcome back.
Shifts?
Okay. Last time you were on was...
These are obviously his hotkeys. I can't... Does anyone use, key, 6, 7, 8? I don't think I... Of course outsmarted. Are you kidding me? Of course outsmarted. I don't, I don't know. I feel like I've got big hands, but I'm not stretching my pinky finger over to the number 8 key. Volume for the... Okay, I'll turn that up.
For the tank, I believe the tank showcase, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. And then we also have, I think, as well from that showcase, one of our senior designers, Mr. Trad. How you doing, buddy?
So he's introducing the people that are...
Doing good. Hello, everyone. Good to see everyone again.
In
and
this
then we
little
have
call.
a new face with us, one of our senior visual effects artists, Mr. John. How you doing?
I'm doing really well, man. This is fun.
Yeah, this is fun. This is your first time on, right?
Yes, it is.
And you have been doing a lot of work on the visual effects side, and
I think everyone, Mavo, is hoping that I can deliver. There's a lot of people that have their doubts, but I'm hoping that they can prove those doubters wrong.
And today, I know many in our audience
I'm
have
excited
been anticipating this early work-in-progress look at the Alpha 2 Mage. And we have, I'm sure, already the chat is ecstatic looking at the hotbars of abilities that we're going to be looking at today. We're not going to go through all of them, but we are going to go through, I believe, the electrical spells, some of the utilities, and some of the frost abilities, right, Trat?
That's right. Yeah, we're going to be looking at a bit of an ice lightning mage. This will not be the only elements that you'll see on the mage, but that's what we're going to be focused on today. And just specifically some...
So for those of you that are watching or watching on Twitch, if you don't know much about the game, I believe it's 64 classes that they have. So the way that they do the classes, you have your main class, and then it's kind of got another class that it's mixed with. So you could have a fighter mage, a rogue mage, which would be like an assassin, and they've got 64 different types of actual classes. So if you can imagine it in sort of a chart where you've got all the base classes going on one side and then all the other classes going the other way. So you could have just somebody that's just a true archmage type, basically. You'd have to look it up on the website, but it is kind of interesting. I don't know how they're going to ever possibly balance all of this, but
interactions between those elements, and
there's lots of different neat things that you can do, though. You can have a rogue-ish mage, so a mage that's got stealth, essentially. So
how the elements can be used together to create synergies.
Yes, and I know we've been talking about this obviously for a good amount of time, and the way that kind of the class kits synergize and work together. And you guys saw
probably a new failed hype where the only thing that they can show is how visually good. Yeah, but Loxy, I think apparently this is one of the videos where it's starting to show combat, actually. So, and I played the early alpha. I was very impressed with where they were, and that was when they were they were using Unreal Engine 4. Sorry, I slipped my anyways, Unreal Engine 4. Now they're using Unreal Engine 5, and the progress has like been accelerated, and the smoothness of the game seems to be much better as well.
A little bit of that with the tank demonstration between, I believe, two abilities had like a staggered to a knockdown promotion. Is that right, Trent?
That's correct. Yeah, we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into that kind of stuff. You'll see probably 3 or 4 different interactions within this kit, and that's just the start of it.
Cool. Now, we are in the Riverlands, of course, but we are... Where are we right now? I think we're at the... this is like a... what is this place called? This is the Hall of Judication, which is was an Aelan, I guess, prison slash trial location that they kept criminals for court. And we're not going to go inside this location because I think it's filled with some goblins that might be a little bit beyond our pay grade. But outside, I think there are some more friendly flowers, perhaps, that we can also play with, and then maybe some rock monsters. But what I want to do before we start there is I think it would be beneficial for us to first get a kind of a base on what each of these abilities do. I know that was something that a lot of the players really liked seeing before we actually get into some combat interactions. And then later, I'm going to let Trad show off some of the intricate combos when we kind of showcase the broader kit. But one thing I want to tell the audience is that, in our previous showcases, we've tended to kind of showcase a little bit more gameplay-oriented kind of walkthroughs of zones and areas and have elements of different encounter designs and monsters and whatnot. Today, we're going to really focus in on these individual abilities, their mechanics, and what it means for the broader, combat design of our archetypes in Ashes of Creation, and hopefully get some good feedback from the community on this direction. And I know Keenan has some questions that he wants to talk about, and John, I know we're going to talk with him a little bit about kind of the next edge kind of technology that we're utilizing for some of our VFX and how these abilities interact. So before we get started, let's...
You know what I would like to see is when he starts off, like we're already almost 5 minutes in, I would like them just to have like something that comes up on the screen and just lays out exactly what this video is going to be about. It just seems to be a little bit long-winded.
Go through these abilities one at a time. What's our first one that we have here? This is something that I think we had in Alpha 1. This was our Blink.
It's like he's babbling.
Is that right, Trad?
And there's no
this
script.
Is one of the ones that we've brought back. This was definitely, I would say, most of our favorite spells from Alpha 1, so we had to bring it back. Even the visuals were just awesome. So, yeah.
What was that,
anyone
Blink?
who played Alpha 1 should be pretty familiar with that.
I'm going to set my cooldowns to 0 so I can show the abilities over and over again. So this is the
I want
Blink
that.
ability.
I want that
And
ability.
obviously,
set my
its
cooldowns to
purpose
0.
is to close the gap, to create a gap, to reposition. Talk to me a little bit about the use case of a Blink from the Mage's
To
kit
blink away from
perspective.
Frost Novas?
I mean, you covered it there. It's a gap opener, gap closer, whatever you want it to be, and we'll showcase some kind of that. We'll showcase that kind of gameplay and actual action once we get to the encounter section of this this stream. But you'll see that mages will probably prefer to use this spell in different ways based on how you're speccing the mage. So if you are a more ranged-based classic mage, you'll most likely use this to create space to put between you and your opponent. But like a more melee-based mage might actually want to use this to get on their opponent.
Yes, to initiate.
So yeah, if you're a fighter,
That's-
you could
that
use
feels
it to
like the way
blink in.
And then
That's pretty neat.
After this, we have a let me see. Before we get into the combat abilities, perhaps we use
Sort of like a charge, I
actually,
guess.
Let me show the shield. Speaking of a combat mage, if you're in the middle of fighting, talk to me a little bit about the shell.
Yeah, this is a pretty classic mage spell that you've probably seen before. It's just a big health shield. It absorbs a bunch of damage and it has a duration, so usually you want to time it with when you're going to anticipate taking a bunch of damage at once. And we'll show that off too in a little bit with some of our rotations that put the mage in a little bit more danger for greater payoff.
And this is kind of a short duration shell. Now,
Oh wait, hold
obviously,
on.
duration,
Whoops.
excuse me.
Hold on. He actually mouses over it. I want to actually like
Put
read
the mage in a little bit more danger for greater payoff.
And this is kind of a short duration.
Put the mage, and we'll show that off with
when he
one
first
health
casts
shield.
it, because I think
Classic,
he's a clicker.
Shell.
I missed
Speaking
it.
of a combat mage, if you're in the middle of fighting, talk to me a little bit.
Okay, so create a protected magic shell around yourself that absorbs a large amount of damage. Okay, fairly standard, but I thought there'd be like maybe mana cost or something like that. At least the mouse overs don't seem to have that right now, unless I don't know.
A bit about the shell.
So
Fast forward
we'll
again.
show that off too in a little bit with some of our rotations that put the mage in a little bit more danger for greater payoff.
And this is kind of a short duration shell. Now, obviously, duration excuse me, can be one of the parameters that are augmented by some of our augment abilities, so it could be potentially extended by an augment in the future, but it's essentially short duration for those temporary hit points. Is that right? Kind of like if you're stuck in a little bit of a bind.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the point of the duration. Like usually these health shields can be pretty strong, and so timing that is part of the balance and also part of the gameplay skill that comes into.
Ball lightning. Create a large ball of highly charged electricity that travels slowly forward, dealing rapid periodic damage to enemies that overlaps with and applying an electrified stack to targets with each hit.
You know, deciding when to use that and when to put it on cooldown.
And then let's show off this ball of lightning. Now, John, you have done a lot of work on the tech side for VFX with regards to, you know, how lightning kind of interacts with surfaces from a sticky surface perspective, and you know, just establishing what I think is a really cool even style guide and shape language for this electricity. And talk to us a little bit about what it took to create this.
You know, I think one of the things that helps set Ashes apart from an effects perspective
That's
is
a cool looking visual.
we want our
though.
effects to be dynamically generated. We want them to interact with the world. You know, we want them to feel like they are part of the combat.
I can't
so
see that really being used a
when
lot
we
in
come
combat,
to
like
wanting to work with something like lightning,
PvP,
we
but-
actually want it to seek out different, you know, things in the world and stick to them. We want it to feel like you are actually in control of that lightning, not just plastered on top. So what we've been working on are kind of behavior systems where you model the behavior of the lightning and how it should work.
Oh, it's kind of cool
And
that it
then,
goes down like
you know,
that
those
too.
systems get put into our effects.
Other
and we
games
get
it
a
would have
very
just shot out
consistent,
straight.
repetitive, not repetitive in like its motion, but how it behaves, result from it.
Yeah, I think it looks great. I love this ability too, and when we get into combat, you guys will see kind of its use case.
I will say this is one of my favorite spells just to use, not only visually, but like for reasons you'll see later, but like it's a zoning tool. It's like a mobile zoning tool. It's great for applying status effects because it's hitting very rapidly. There's lots of different ways you can use this thing to your advantage.
I'm sorry.
This one was so much fun to make.
People aren't supposed to be using. I have cooldowns. I'm sorry. I
Just
set my
fade out.
cooldowns to
Somebody,
zero,
yeah,
so
maybe
I'm watching like a
they'll
whole bunch
change
of
that.
them.
They've still got.
But I just really
Yeah.
I love the effects. I think it's
Yeah,
so cool.
it would be cool
It
if
was
it
just
just kind
fun to
of faded
figure out how to
out.
get it to stick to the floor and make it actually kind of walk along, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now we also have.
It would be cool. I wonder if they can aim it. Like he was always looking down. I wonder if you can like look up and actually shoot it up. Like if somebody's like up on a cliff or something like that, if you can kind of shoot it upwards.
A little bit on the frost side. Let's talk about this ability, and this one.
Okay, so channel a massive blizzard around you, raining a barrage of hail. While channeling, each shard impact deals ice damage in a small area around it. All enemies in the blizzard also accumulate a stack of chilled periodically. Activate the ability again to end the channel early. So it's just an AoE around you, and it slows people down.
One
Like.
is a blizzard. Explain a little bit about blizzard, Keenan.
Blizzard is a very complicated spell. I have thought a lot about Blizzard.
Well, the area that it covers actually is pretty wide.
rains projectiles down that deal damage, but also does a fairly frequent burst that applies chilled stacks. It also has a little bit of mobility into it, which is something we talked about quite a bit. We felt that it was important to maintain some control over this ability, even though it's very powerful, just to give players that maximal sense of agency as they are destroying the battlefield.
Oh yeah, I mean I love the visuals here as well, John. The decals on the ground with the frost and the impacting.
That's
ice
a wide
shards.
area.
Now, is this?
You're all in? Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about kind of how
it
you
looks
create
good
from a visual effects perspective these individual elements and their reusability.
You know, one of the things that's really good about working here is that we are involved very early on, and we can look at the things that are going to be challenging from, you know, what design and the engineering team want to build from an effects perspective, and then inform them on those things. And when we want really cool frost zones all over very uneven terrain that, you know, they build out like cool displacements in the ground.
Yeah, attack a mob here. I want to see what happens.
There's not a button for that. You know, we have to go and work really closely with tech art and figure that stuff out. And then how do you make sure that the particle systems can drive those decals and they can be animated? So, you know, being part of that process very early on, working with the concept team to identify what the challenges are going to be, and then really being able to communicate with those teams about how to accomplish it.
Cone of cold. Okay, I paused it just because he moused over it. Blast a cone of cold in front of the caster, dealing ice damage and applying a stack of shield to each. So it's the exact same thing as in World of Warcraft. It sounds like the blast also leaves behind a field of ice mines that explode on proximity contact, causing additional ice damage. And okay, so that part is different. I'm kind of interested to see that.
Before it hits our desk.
There it is right there.
Really powerful.
That's kind of interesting.
Absolutely.
I remember when I showed you, or when you showed me your first iteration, John, and I was like, how does it look when you move? And you were like, when I showed you...
See that again.
Desk. Able to communicate with those teams about how to accomplish it before it hits our desk.
So I guess those are the mines, but anyone that's in front of it, I don't know, it's kind of
really powerful.
I was hoping that it would be a cone. You know how in World of Warcraft you kind of see like it's a cone that shoots out and it's like not just on the ground. I think that would have looked cooler. Maybe they'll
accomplish
adjust
it
that
before it hits our desk.
That's
really
a little
powerful.
Underwhelming.
Absolutely.
I remember when I showed you, or when you showed me your first iteration, John, and I was like, how does it look when you move? And you were like, what?
Yep. That is definitely one of the things that you are so very good at, Keenan. You take like whatever system we have designed and you find the one thing almost immediately that we didn't account for, and I appreciate you for that, because once we fix it, it looks so good.
Absolutely.
It would look better from your perspective if you saw like a cone of ice shooting out, right? That would make the effect look that much better. But I mean, again, it's early stages of development. They've got lots of time to maybe adjust this. So
you know,
we'll
it is a very difficult process, kind of, you know, creating.
It doesn't. You're right. It doesn't look like a cone
in a way that,
of cold.
You know, obviously answers the call from a design perspective in the kits that we want to create and the interconnectivity between those kits, but also establish what players want to see out of a class fantasy. And the mage is a very near and dear to many people's hearts. I know it is to mine as well. And there's just so much space here to create strong visual languages around the different types of magics and elements that are utilized. You know, it's a very strong part of the Ashes of Creation class kits. So we have another ability called Cone of Cold. Talk to me a little bit, Trad, about Cone of Cold.
Yep, ice spells have a tendency to be complicated. This is another one. So this is a cone spell. I mean, it's pretty simple in that regard. Like, you hit enemies in front of you. You apply what is one of our elemental status effects called Chilled. Does as you would probably expect. It slows the target, and it can stack for an increasing amount of slow per stack you put on them.
If you stay in it, you'll slow down further and further.
There are some little crystals that it leaves on the ground there, and each one of those is a proximity ice mine that if someone steps on, it will explode and apply additional stacks and damage. So it's really good at creating area denial between your opponent and yourself, and if you force them through it, then you can count on being able to escalate your stats effects a little quicker.
Now, I've aggroed this monster. You guys will notice that it's not pathing towards me, but that's because I want to show off some additional ability.
Lightning Strike. Call down a bolt of lightning upon your target, dealing lightning damage and applying 2 stacks of electrified to the target. Okay.
Abilities. Excuse me. That require require a target. So, Lightning Strike. Talk to me about what Lightning Strike does.
Sure.
Just read it.
This one's a little more straightforward. It's kind of one of your bread and butter single target abilities. You can charge it for varying degrees of efficacy. So you can either release it really soon to apply stacks quickly of the electrified status effect in the lightning category, or you can charge it up longer and do more damage.
That's kind of neat. Actually, you can.
So I guess I'll take this opportunity to talk about a little.
That's kind of neat that you can have your spells actually do more damage based on how long your cast is, and you can like launch it early, have it do less damage, but maybe
a little bit about
still
what
have
you might
some
be noticing on the icons
debuff effect
these
on
enemies. But once you build 10 stacks of electrified on the target, you'll notice that they'll get another icon on them, and that is the shocked status effect. And what that means is that when you hit them with damage, once that thing is applied, it will consume electrified stacks with each hit you do to them while that's active to do or proc additional damage.
So I'll show that here. You can see that electrified gets applied. But one thing also that is interesting.
Elemental Empowerment. Whenever you cast an elemental spell, your weapon attacks deal additional damage of that spell's element and apply a stack of the corresponding elemental status effect to target's hit. Casting a spell of a different element switches the effect to the new element. Sorry, it's just really small lettering, so it's sometimes hard to see.
Interesting is this Elemental Empowerment. Talk to me a little bit about Elemental Empowerment.
Yep, so you might be wondering, well, how am I going to get all the way to the number of status effects I need if my abilities are on cooldown and, I need 10 of them to get there? Well, the wand combo is, your weapon combo in general on the mage is very good at doing so, because it will take the elements of the last spell you cast and for about a 5-second period or so apply that element in status effect applications to the enemy as you're attacking them. So you might see that happening here.
So let's show off a little bit of that interaction after I kill this guy real quick in the next one, and how promotions work on those types of status conditions. So what's a good promotion effect that I can do between electricity and frost right now?
Usually I like to stick with frost first. So I'll open with, do we want to show Frostbolt?
Yeah.
Okay, Frostbolt. Launch a bolt of frost towards your target, dealing ice damage and applying 2 chilled stacks to the target. So frost is very typical of like a frost mage in other games where it's a lot of CC, snaring, slows.
Let's do that. So this is a single target projectile attack that applies 2 stacks of chill to the enemy, and then after that hit him with a few wand attacks. Now you'll see that you've gotten a frozen status effect on him, and then he timed that really well right there. But like in that very last frame, you'll see that he hit him with a lightning effect, which triggers the Shatus. It's not even a condition; it's just a reaction, and that just triggers a bunch of damage. So that's a good way to get your burst damage if you're rotating your spells and your elements the correct way.
Yeah, that's super cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that particular interaction is by far my favorite thing about this mage.
Yeah, I like the
I like that there's like a sort of a combo system
or
for
just
casters
any
as
player
well.
with their archetype, having the option to kind of weave in between those rotations and those spells, and to create successful combinations within their kit that you amplify the DPS or the status conditions or the control effects or whatever it is your end goal. Having a rotation that emphasizes your ability to succeed or fail in those combos, I think is compelling from a gameplay perspective.
Yeah, I agree. Like, they really are intended to be rotational drivers and help you get introduced to a kit that, you know, might otherwise feel like just a disparate set of spells that don't really belong together. You know, might otherwise feel like just...
Slumber applies a sleeping condition to targets affected with a small area around the primary target, rendering them unable to move or take any action. Any damage dealt to a sleeping target will break the effect.
A disparate set of spells that don't really belong together. This is how, just one way that we're really making them feel connected, and it's not the only way. You'll see some other synergies that are a little bit more organic with a few of these other spells that we have yet to get to, but that's kind of the crux of how we're getting those rotational elements down.
Now
I
talk
think
to
your ball
me.
lightning
Yeah,
just shattered that for you.
I know. Yeah, I timed it so that it would essentially hit the target while the frost application applied. I used another ability called Chain Lightning. Talk to me about Chain Lightning.
Let's read the mouse.
I used
over.
another.
Least powerful streak of lightning that hits your primary target and then chains outward to all nearby enemies from that target, dealing lightning damage and applying 3 stacks of electrified to each target.
Ability called Chain Lightning. Talk to me about Chain Lightning.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to Lightning Strike, except it's more of an AoE role that it's filling. So you won't see it here because you're only attacking one target, but if there were multiple targets, you would see lightning branch off from the main target that you have to nearby additional targets. So it's really good at applying its status effect in a more AoE scenario, which we will also show you soon.
Let me see if I can... sorry, I spawned a few more targets just to demonstrate that. Let me sleep them all. Talk to me a little bit about sleep.
Yeah, so
Slumber.
this is an AoE CC that breaks on damage. It's great for like creating space and setting up
AoE
a window,
CC.
but you can't just like DPS them down while they're sitting there weak. So it's kind of it's a trade-off. It's very good, especially if you're in a more organized group that knows to hold off and like, you know, kind of control the battlefield without just throwing damage everywhere.
Yeah, that is super cool. But now, John, talk to me a little
Chain
bit
lightning
about
doesn't seem to do a lot of damage, but
the ability for this lightning to kind of connect with these different points of collision.
So, first, working with this combat team so early makes things like the idea that they want to be super twitchy and, you know, rotate the player while they're casting it very obvious from the start as a, you know, a huge challenge. So when we go about designing these systems, we're looking for not only does it look good, but is it performant? And, you know, building out the systems that can look for all of the players, the ground, collision objects like trees or rocks, and not only like collide them, but avoid them, is just super satisfying.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's one of the cool things, you know, you were talking about like looking for that collision, and one thing I want to demonstrate on that comment is, let me see if I can find a good spot to show.
What is the combo that they use to, like, once he's got all the stacks up, like, what is the combo that they use for lightning to, like, do just a ton of damage at the end? I haven't actually seen that yet.
Let me just spawn a little dude, maybe.
Chain lightning seems to be more about applying the status effect and dealing damage. It does.
And then, oh, actually, no, wait. We got a friend. Let's use him. Get asleep right there. Okay, and then let me get behind this rock. Whoops, sorry guys. I'll launch around this area here. Oh, that looked so good. Did you guys see that arc? That was so cool.
All hacks.
And you can rotate while you're casting. So we wanted to really pay attention to that player agency that's been so important for the combat team. You know, if you're able to move and rotate and get out of the way and your effects suddenly disconnect from you or don't feel like you're in control of them anymore, it doesn't look right. And we really want it to look and feel interactive and fun. You know, we don't want you to turn the effects off. We want you to enjoy it.
Yes.
It is, Nixon.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely not used to seeing such like
The recent
grounded
Mage
lightning
update.
in games and MMOs especially. No
I
pun
am a mage player, and bad lightning angers me. So it was just not allowed. Like, we had to do better. And it's still very much a work in progress, but we are definitely on the right path, and it's performant. And, you know, I think another aspect of this that's really cool is you're looking at it as lightning right now, but the same system that does lightning does the ice crystals, does
Was that the
same system that does
Okay,
lightning,
Blizzard, we've already read
does
that
the
one.
ice crystals, does the airstrike roots. There's all kinds of different behaviors that these very performant systems can handle.
Absolutely. All right, next up we have Arcane.
Arcane Volley. Fires a volley of arcane missiles at your target, dealing arcane damage with each hit. Wow. Sounds like Arcane Missile.
Volley. What is Arcane Volley?
This is a single target arcane spell. Unlike the other ones we've shown you, this doesn't have any particular element associated with it. And it might look a little underwhelming at first, but you can use this pretty quickly. It's on a 2-charge cooldown, and there is a particular synergy that we all like to use with it. If you haven't figured it out,
Yeah,
it's
understood
how
the assignment.
it synergizes with the
I mean, there's-
shocked status effect. The shocked
I mean, you had
status
a lot of
basically
these,
says
a lot of the spells and stuff that they have in MMOs, they date back as far as Dungeons and Dragons, right? So
with each hit, it triggers additional damage, and Arcane Volley is a perfect candidate for that synergy.
and he
You know,
just
I am
he just hinted at the fact that there's going to be updates to the effects that they have. So this is just kind of what they've got now. So you can assume that by the time the game launches, that some of these effects that we're seeing are going to be massively, like, they're going to be improved on. Like, for example, Cone of Cold, I'd like to see them do something more with it than that. But I mean, they look good now. So
let me just make sure this guy's wings are good to go. Trad, I would love for you and I to perhaps swap places here, and for you to walk us through some of these more elaborate combinations. One thing that is really cool, guys, I don't know, it was about a year ago or so, we showed off this particular Thunderbolt gliding mount, and we put a little bit more work. Jason's been putting a little bit more work into the glide mechanic, and let's see if I can set myself up. I want to fly you over to a little location, Trad, where you can demonstrate some of these combos. So I think there's a plateau that's kind of near here. Let's see if we can do this. Oh god. And we're doing it. Okay, so this is kind of the gliding distance that you can develop a little bit with these gliding mounts. So there's some good amount of distance traveled, I think. Oh my god, I pulled a little bit too many troops. Hold on.
You're getting more.
Yeah. Wait,
chain
let me
lightning
fly back
everything.
down.
Reset.
Reset. Let me reset. All right, wait.
So he said it's a gliding mount. It's not a
Let's just walk
actual
up,
flying
actually.
mount?
To fly to a little safer spot. Corner here. There we go.
Looks like it's actually just
Oh,
a flying
and he's
mount.
T-posing. Don't mind him. He's good. Just tell him to go away. Up, and we got another one. And he died. Okay, we're good. All right, Brad. Let me just hold on. My God, I hope I don't die. All right, get ready. We're gonna swap over here. Why are there so many creeps on this hill?
GM
Oh,
Steven
no.
GM Steven would fail the hardcore challenge very quickly, okay? He would very quickly fail the hardcore
sorry, guys.
challenge.
Oh my gosh.
Give me 1 second. Let me just see if I can reset them. Okay.
Isn't there like a /GM in Invincible command or
Okay, there we
something?
go. We're good.
Like,
We're good.
I think-
They reset? They reset. Nope, they're trying to path to me. They're very angry. Very angry.
wait,
Oh,
did he just
very
blink
angry.
backwards?
Very angry.
Oh,
They're trying to path to me.
I don't know if he turned around and did that, or if, I'd
They
be
reset?
interested to know how he did that.
They reset.
'Cause it's like an
Nope,
it's
they're
like an
trying to path
instant
to
he
me.
turns
They're
around and blinks.
Very angry.
So watch this.
Very angry.
Like it doesn't show him turning and doing it. It just
Why won't they leash?
maybe it's the direction. You know what? Maybe it's the direction that you're moving. I think that's maybe what it is. Like so, if you're backpedaling, it'll blink you
Nope,
backwards.
they're trying to path to me. They're very angry. Very angry.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh. Why won't they leash?
They have a super long leash radius.
Okay. Trad, let's you and I swap. What do you think? You want to swap? And we'll do this over here.
Yeah, good luck, Trad.
Hopefully
Yeah, you
they
set them
will
up for
reset.
success here.
Yes.
Hey, good luck.
Alright.
I've rounded
Big
up,
AoE
rounded up all
Alright,
the
we're gonna
mobs,
swap.
aggroed them all, and now you take
Give me
them.
1 second. And we are now swapped, or we're swapping. Sorry, Trad, come on over. And show us some of the magic in the combos.
So obviously, pathing on them is still not, you know,
All right, we are back.
because a mob
do
should be able to
My
path through
best
that,
to
but
salvage the situation here.
salvage the situation. Drink a health pot. Do something.
Got a big pull. All right, so first I'm going to thin out this encounter a little bit. I'm going to demonstrate one of the more single
I just want you to know, Trad, real quick, that prior to you thinning out the herd there, that if it wasn't for my training all of those creeps, you would not have had this a spectacular opportunity to just showcase the sheer AoE potential in this kit.
Oh, I see. We're skipping straight to that then. All right.
And he can do it without the cooldowns too.
No pressure whatsoever. All right, no, let's set
Yeah,
our
you
cooldowns back
turn
too.
your cooldowns back
Yeah.
on, yeah.
He can do it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, doing it live. Let's see. First,
So walk us through kind of what you're going to use.
so because this is going to be more of an AoE combo, I would say one of the better rotations for this is almost one of the more battle mage-like rotations. So that this is going to be something you could almost expect from, like maybe mage fighter or something like that. You know, I'm going to equip the Great Blade. So this is just to show that, you know, mages use non-conventional weapons in Ashes of Creation. We're going to show that off soon, especially with what we showed you earlier, the Elemental Empowerment spell. This will actually apply to all things that you hit in your cleaving radius with the Greatsword. So here we go.
Hey, this guy's at least not clicking. Help bud.
Trad. Oh, God.
I canceled my blizzard.
That was a rip.
Oh, that's so good.
Too many mobs, dude.
Oh, we're good. We're
All
good.
right,
We're
maybe
good. My bad.
Maybe they'll reset.
Now you're reset. You're good. Okay, guys, I just had to set Trad up to die like that. I apologize. I just wanted to just showcase that the mage is not a literal god, like in many games. That if you overpull,
It is
and
the
you
mage
bite
class,
off
yes.
more than you can chew, you're
Or
still
well,
gonna
it's
die.
the mage like
I love it.
archetype.
ever
Like
get it
there's
first
8
try,
different
right? That would be
mage
a boring
classes, so
No, that would be very boring.
depending what you
There's
you
a-
pair the
there's a little
mage
bit of a
class with, like
a little bit
you
of
could be like a mage rogue, a mage
difficulty
fighter.
challenge here.
You'll have different abilities and perform differently in
Oh,
combat.
you almost made it back. This is nice.
So like a mage rogue, I believe is called
Kinda
an
like a little
assassin or
puzzle to get
something.
back
I'd have
in
to
here.
look at the
You
chart.
did it pretty
but-
quick too. I get lost.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if we can get a little bit of a better setup here. All right, I'm gonna shelf the AOE one and go to the single target one, and then we'll do the AOE
All right,
one
sounds
again
good.
after that. All right. So this is a little easier one. Here we go.
You're gonna need your wand.
Oh, okay. Yeah, some big deeps there. And that's because of the shattered. Oh, and you slept the next one. Nice. I love that ball.
The effects are definitely nice.
Oh, you're making quick work of these, Trad. Not bad.
Yep. So that's the single target rotation I like a lot, at least with this kit. Once you start introducing some of these other elements in here that we're not going to show you this time, but you'll get to see them eventually. It really opens like a whole realm of possibilities. Actually, we could even try it on this one. This guy's got a lot of help.
I kind of want to see like the fire element
takes a few
casts
rotations to
or
bring down.
spells.
Yeah, I've been really
I
practicing.
want to see
on
like
this
big
one. It's
fireballs and.
And now, Keenan, talk to us a little bit about kind of the process that goes into creating these, class kits for Alpha 2. Your strike team has been hard at work in kind of developing phase 1 and phase 2 of these. What exactly goes into those phases?
Well, it's pretty much a 3-phase process. Phase 1 is very open-ended. We pretty much try everything under the sun, and we put it together in every way we can imagine, and we try to figure out what we like and don't like and iterate fast. Like we usually do playables like twice a week when we're in that phase. What you guys are seeing here is actually abilities that are in the process of passing phase 2. So they are approaching levels where we are happy with how they play, happy with how they look, and some details may change over time, but generally speaking, this is what we're going for. And from here, it would mostly just be like polish and assets and just getting like external feedback and stuff like that.
Very nice. Trad, I liked your use of slumber there. You're in a precarious spot. Oh god. Oh my god, Trad, I am literally on the edge of my seat just watching this, hoping you don't turn into ash. Oh god. Trad! Ow. Oh my gosh, that was crazy.
That was
I wanted to make it look close, It's good for the audience.
Uh-huh, yeah. Yep. Me too. That's when I die. It's because it's,
Yeah, I mean, it's dramatic effect.
Yeah, agreed, totally.
All right, should we set our health back up, or do we have to wait for regen here? Do it the
you
classic
can
way?
set it.
All
Nah,
right,
do
You can negative nuke yourself.
Dude, the aggro range on these things. I see why you aggro everything so often.
Do you see what I mean? This is what I'm having to deal with right now. That's well done. You see this, audience? Utilize elements of the terrain to obstruct the pathing from the monster while we have yet to stand up the right pathing.
To be fair, it just looks like the pathing is wrong. Like hold on, let's go back to this. Like here, he steps up a little bit, and that mob apparently can't follow him. That doesn't seem like he's like utilizing the terrain effectively. It just looks like the pathing is crap, and the mob should be able to actually follow.
This is what I'm having to deal with.
Watch this
right now.
So he goes around the corner, and the mob suddenly, like, it's frozen right now. It looks like in the cone of cold, but once that is gone, I don't see any debuffs on the mob on target. So I don't know if he's frozen there because of the cone of cold, or if it's because of the pathing. But they're suggesting that it's due to the pathing, and if it can't move just because he's around that little corner, that just seems like it's like the mob's pathing abilities are garbage.
That's well done. You see this, audience? Utilize elements of the terrain to obstruct the pathing from the monster.
Like that just seems.
We have yet to stand up the right path.
It's barely a hill that he went up onto, and the mob couldn't follow him.
Oh, it's so good. This guy's a little boy, though. He's not too bad. This is just more of like the single rotation kit.
Yep.
And you do not have to build.
So that little bit there, it did definitely look like he froze him in place there. So it may have been frozen the first one, but GM Steven, he suggested that it was due to pathing as to why the mob couldn't follow him up over to this side here when he tucked around. And if that's the case, that's poor, like, for the game, for the mob not to be able to come up into that area, because it, I don't know, just makes it too easy. But here you can see, I don't know what he casts next. Maybe it's just the effect of the cone of cold, but the mob actually freezes here.
This is just more of like the single
Right there. So it's frozen now in place.
rotation kit.
You might have been trying to fill airtime.
You do not
but...
have to build your mage down this elemental path, right? That's one of the
Utilize elements of terrain equals use exploits. Basically, yes.
the design elements of this kit is that there are a lot of different paths that you're able to take the mage down, not just the lightning and ice path or elementals. Talk to us a little bit about kind of the composition of abilities that are intended between utility, defensive, gap closers, and mobility, DPS oriented ones.
I would like if it was indeed like an issue with the mobs not being able to path correctly just quite yet. I wish they would have actually said something there. Like I wish, of course, as the owner of the company, and maybe you don't want to call them out in front of the audience or whatever, but I wish they would have corrected that and said, no, this is actually an issue with pathing. We're working on it. That will be fixed.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we've been demonstrating a little bit with some of these other ones. Like this shell is definitely saved me more than a few times. Slumber as well. Like a lot of defensive utility goes into the mage being able to sustain themselves, when they're having situations like this where, detected by mobs.
So is that aggroed on him right there? I think that's actually aggroed on him. Like when he moved up, I think that actually he moved up to aggro him, and it wasn't able to actually like continue pathing to where he's at.
Definitely saved me more than a few times. Slumber as well. Like a lot of defensive
I think he goes down a little bit. Yeah, here
the mage being able to
aggroes him, and then he just steps up, and then the mob freezes because it can't pass.
Sustain themselves, when they're having situations.
I'm assuming that they're going to work on this because that's
by mobs, and they weren't quite prepared for it. And I think that's really what rounds out the kit for classes like this. It's not all about just dishing out DPS all the time. It really comes
I don't know.
down
Maybe
to
he
those,
went up and
situational things
used some command to pull him out or something.
Intelligently to come out on top.
We'll see if he walks forward and it starts to move again.
Get an AOE encounter here.
By the way, if you want to turn around, Trad, you're able to you can do like 1, 2, and 3, just kind of in the middle, just face directly into that dirt area there, and just numpad 1, 2, 3, and it'll spawn just right in front of you, and just turn slightly. Yeah.
No, there we go.
All right, classic AOE encounter here. Let's go.
And guys, just to give you context here, as Trad's doing this, again, we were taking a little bit of a direction here with this showcase. We wanted to kind of give you just how we do things from a combat arena perspective and development perspective, and how we iterate, as Keenan was talking about. There are multiple iterations that occur during phase 1 development, twice a week almost with that strike team, and they use arenas that are a little bit lower weight
that
than
looked
the
cool.
Like
watch that again, but I think this whole
Trad's doing this
sequence looks
again. We were
pretty
taking
neat.
a little bit of a direction here with this showcase. We wanted to kind of give you just how we do things from a combat arena perspective and development perspective, and how we iterate, as Keenan was talking about. There are multiple iterations that occur during phase 1 development, twice a week almost with that strike team, and they use arenas that are a little bit lower weight than the than the Ashes
that
of
looked
Creation
good.
world, and that's kind of the combat arena that has things.
They didn't cancel
like
Blizzard that time. That's right.
Just a lot of different design oriented.
Did he catch shield? Oh, he must have catch shield.
Arenas development twice a week almost with that. The combat arena
twice?
perspective and development perspective, and how we iterate, how we do a little bit of a direction. And
So shield is shift 1. So, whoops.
yeah, there you go. Perfect.
All right, classic AOE encounter here. Let's go.
So he's casting the
And
electric.
guys, just to give you context here, as Trad's doing this,
he's got shield.
again, we were taking a
that's
little
on
bit of a
30-second
direction here
cooldown.
with this showcase. We wanted to kind of give you just how we do things from a combat arena perspective and development perspective, and how we iterate, as Keenan was talking about. There are multiple iterations that occur during phase 1 development, twice a week almost with that strike team, and they use arenas that are a little bit lower weight than the the Ashes of Creation world, and that's kind of the combat arena that has things like dummies and just a lot of different design oriented test subjects that are helpful. One of those is just spawning monsters as you need it.
Yeah, one of our guiding theories is that the more iterations we can execute on, the better the game will be. So we're all about minimizing that time to iteration.
That's something that's also really important for us. When you guys are iterating so quickly, we want to make sure that the systems that are using that animation to really drive the effects don't break every 4 days because you guys decided to change it up. We really want to only address changes for, major differences in how the ability functions. So these systems are pretty robust.
Yeah. And I noticed there, Trad, when you were swinging with your greatsword, you had that elemental, is it elemental empowerment?
Elemental empowerment. Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier. Like, it's not just the wand that interacts with these different abilities. Different
All your
weapons
weapons
have different synergies with class abilities, which just it introduces that extra level of depth, right? It's like, how can I maximize the effect of this? And it's like I'm trading, in this case, my ranged potential for the ability to apply these status effects in a more AoE regard, which makes the greatsword a lot better for dealing with packs than the wand. And sometimes you'll even be able to use either one based on the situation, right? We'll allow players to swap their weapons based on what they are coming up against, and it creates a lot of answers to different situations if you have the tools for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just to be clear, the greatsword was dealing so much damage there because they were shocked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good AoE weapon, but by itself, it's not that good. It was really the shock that was making it deal so much damage.
Yeah. Well,
That's interesting.
you got
how
another
the,
little friend
two
there. You can probably put
classes work
press 4 a
together.
couple times. You want to grab a
Great,
couple
like
of
this
those.
melee mage.
I think we'll just put him to sleep.
Good call. Well, guys, as always, this is a continued work in progress. Alpha 2, as you know, is a big test period for us. A lot
When
of the
is it?
archetypes are going to be online to a significant level with a significant amount of abilities that are going to be available to kind of test. And as part of our monthly showcases where we show you development in progress, this is our opportunity to collect feedback on what you guys have seen. Keenan, do you have some questions that are most relevant for your teams
When is Alpha 2?
with regards to the iteration and development of this combat that you'd like to posit to the community?
Yeah, I would say there's 3 major things that I'm interested in gathering feedback on, and the first one stems from player agency, which is one of the things that we prioritize the most. And so in the context of this kit, what that looks like is how people feel about the amount of mobility that it has during spells. People may have noticed that the cleric was walking out of its spells and canceling them, but this mage can actually continue to cast. They just have a slower movement speed. How do people feel about that? How does it look? The second thing I'm interested in is
Have they done a cleric one as
how
well? We'll have to watch that.
the transition between
some point, too.
spells is coming across. Does it look good? Does it look clunky? How do people feel about that? And then finally, the complexity of the kit. Are people pretty happy with these elemental interactions and how they would think about them during combat, or are they interested in something more complicated or less complicated?
Awesome. And guys, as always, remember this is a work in progress. There is still iteration necessary. There's a lot of artwork that's still outstanding and requires second, third, fourth passes and polish. But we are showing you, everything as it is in development because we find that it's a very important interaction with the community to collect this type of feedback and get your guys' thoughts on the direction that we're taking. Because at the end of the day, when we launch Ashes of Creation, we want to make sure that we've had as much touch point with the community as possible so people don't go, what game is this? But with that being said, John, Trad, Keenan, I want to thank all 3 of you for joining me today and showcasing the hard work that you and the rest of the team have been putting towards developing this mage and the other archetypes. I know I speak for the community when I say thank you. You guys are doing an awesome job. Very excited to see this played by players in Alpha 2. And with that being said, we will see you all back on stream.
That was actually quite impressive. I wasn't sure what we were gonna see before the video started, but I do like the direction that they've taken with the mage class, anyways, or at least this combination of mage and whether it's warrior or whatever the other archetype is. But it so far it looks pretty good. I'm interested to see what the other classes look like as well. He did sort of mention that they did a cleric one as well. Did they actually? See, I've been away for a while, so I hadn't really seen. So this is development update with Mage Archtype preview. That's the same one. I don't see anything with a cleric, so tank preview, tank archetype. Anyways, we'll continue to keep updated with Ashes of Creation. It is a game that I'm very excited about. A game that I was in the original alpha and will be continuing to play alpha 2. So if you're interested, I will of course be announcing when I get it. When I get into, or when they announce alpha 2 is coming out, I'll let you guys know on my Discord. I'll be talking about it on stream. So you guys can watch me on Twitch. I'll be playing it non-stop once alpha 2 is launched. And I know I've got a couple of other friends that are signed up for alpha 2 as well. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to watch me live on Twitch, you can do that at twitch.tv/Alodar. If you enjoyed the video, the commentary, please feel free to subscribe to the channel and like the video as well. It does help a lot. And sorry, what's that? It was just there, 2 from the right. Oh, I'll have to. If there's one on the cleric, which is obviously a class I played a lot of heal. Oh, there it is here. Development update with cleric day and night. We'll maybe have to take. That's 5 months ago. I'll take a look at that offline. I don't know if that's actually an update like the mage one was though, but we'll take a look at it. Anyways, if you're watching this on YouTube, come say hi, come chat. Twitch.tv/Alodar. All my links are down below. You can catch me 5 to 6 days a week. I'll talk to you guys again in the next one. Take care.